Podcast. And got an exciting one tonight. And with Jake, do you want to take it away while I message the group?
Good evening to our listeners to another episode of the Tribecast. Today we have, like Lewis said, we've got an exciting one coming up today because we are going to be talking about a variety of subjects, the cardio mistakes every lifter makes, training around an injury. We're going to be talking about similar to what we were talking about last time, which was sort of like the GLP-1s. I know a lot of people have got opinions and also questions about them as well. So we're going to go into GLP-1s. We're going to go into PEDs. Sorry, not PLDs. Jesus. And we're going to
Post-lymphatic drainage.
tap into some other topics as well. So yeah, an exciting episode today. But first things first, how's your week been anyway, mate? How have you been this week?
Yeah, good man. Not bad. Just like I honestly have not been sleeping very well all week, bro. Like I've been like, I don't know. There's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. Obviously, we've had a lot of like changes with the gym and stuff, and it sounds really silly, but obviously for me, it takes a lot from me to be able to hand over specific job roles and learn to be okay with it. Because obviously, when we first started, it was Maddie and me, and then that's kind of all I've been used to for 5 years. So just kind of getting my head around making sure you guys have what you guys need to be able to grow as individuals, and also taking a step back from certain things so I can focus on other things has actually kind of exhausted me a little bit this week, because it's just getting through that, which is fine. It's a process that needs to happen. So
it's like how people strive under pressure. They do really well when there's like pressure there, and then when the pressure's taken off them, they're like, oh,
yeah,
what do I do?
Yeah,
but
it's like when you go on holiday, isn't it? The first few days of a holiday, you almost can't wait for the holiday because you've been working so hard, and then you have your holiday and you go like, for the first 3 days, I'm exhausted. Why am I so tired? It's because you've finally given your body time to rest. It's very similar to that.
Fatigue backs up, man. Don't it? Like a lot of people don't realize they are fatigued until they actually stop, and then
yeah, man,
fatigue backs up.
Keel over. Dude, Maddie came in the office today, and I was literally on my phone and just in a fetal position on the sofa, just like trying to do emails, but trying to like not fall asleep, but kind of falling asleep in and out. It's, dude, awful.
I feel that. It's like, I want to do it, but my eyes say no.
Oh, I love that. Blaze McQuaid coming in big with the too much testosterone on my screen. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Now you're here, even more testosterone.
The chat's blown up with testosterone. That sounds wild.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move into the first question. Right, so we're going to talk about the cardio mistake every lifter makes and how to actually fit it in. Because I feel like I had a phone call with a lady actually earlier, and it's not the wrong. I feel like when I always reference things, people take it in a bad way because they're like, "Oh, that's definitely me." Listen, it's a conversation that I've had with so many people, but it just reminded me that this is something that we need to speak about a little bit more often, and that is that a lot of people associate cardio with fat loss, right? It aids with fat loss. It is not the primary driver of fat loss. And it's something that should be an added bonus onto the main thing that's driving your body composition, which should primarily be weightlifting. And I feel like a lot of people will do weightlifting because it's building muscle, cardio for fat loss. It's like, no, it's not. It don't work like that way. Don't work that way. So for me, sharing my part, cardio is something that can help facilitate fat loss by driving a further calorie deficit. If you are looking to stay on as much food as possible whilst losing body weight, it's great to do cardio because it means you don't have to reduce your food to push you into a deficit. Equally, everybody should do a little bit of cardio, low intensity, steady state cardio. Low intensity, steady state cardio is not intense enough to take away from your weightlifting sessions, but it's enough to keep you cardiovascularly fit, which is very important as well. We do need you to be fit in order to be able to drop fat, because if your heart is not good, blood flow is compromised, your weight sessions, you're leaving reps in the bag that could be hit if you were fit enough, and ultimately blood flow is not in a good position. And I think for a lot of people, understanding how fat loss happens, body fat cells shrink and then they pass through the bloodstream. if blood flow is limited through poor cardiovascular circulation, then you're not going to be reducing as much body fat as you think. So cardio should be there in a small amount. Minimum is like sometimes 2 or 3 times a week for 10 minutes, and that's enough. But it should never be intense enough unless your goal is a performance target. Should never be intense enough to take away from the weightlifting session, because the weightlifting session is what's going to primarily drive fat loss. And it should be done after your weightlifting session, not before.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I mean, yeah, another sort of point as well is that people will, they say I don't know, they need to lose some body fat, and then they mix being on a really strict diet and deficit. Like some people will go to like the extremes of having like 800 calories below their maintenance, and then also like say, oh, I'll go for a run. It's not like how your body works. Your body needs food in order to produce energy, in order to move and function. You mix being on a like really intense deficit with really intense cardiovascular work, then you are just going to burn. Hence why so many people will put on the weight so much easier, because they're like, I am so fatigued, I'm so burnt out. And then, food just sort of kind of overwhelms them. And then, the whole going out for runs stops because they're like, I'm just burnt out, I'm just fatigued, I'm just, my legs are gone, and the deficit is too intense. So it's finding sort of like a good balance between two. And like you said, low intensity, steady state. Even when we're doing, again, it's a very drastic difference in terms of like your normal lifestyle transformation. But even when you're doing like bodybuilding, like it's even low intensity, steady state there. The only difference is that you're just fasted and you're doing it first thing in the morning. That's literally the only difference. That's the only difference I found. Like, is it a little bit more challenging because you're fasted? Yeah, of course. But I'm not like, we're not doing, I know, interval training, going absolutely ham for an hour long. It's literally you are on an incline treadmill and you're walking for an hour at a maybe more intense pace and a conversational pace. And that is it. Like, it does not need to be that extreme. It doesn't. There's my little take and slash rant.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And I think it depends really on your goal. And like I said earlier, is all goal driven, right? So it's really fascinating because a while ago I did a lot of research into 100-meter Olympic sprinters, because I really like sprinting. Like, I love sprinting. If I was to do any kind of endurance sport, I would be a sprinter. I used to sprint when I was young. And when you look at the highest possible level of Olympic sprinters, and we're talking Usain Bolt, we're talking, Blade, all of those guys. When you look at their training programs, the majority of the training programs is actually weight-based work in a gym. It's all explosive work. And they're actually not running very often, because running doesn't actually benefit that level of endurance, because you can get hot and sweaty in a gym through weight training. You can build your cardiovascular fitness that way, but they need to be very explosive. And I suppose, again, that's what I was trying to link it to, is it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is specifically visual, the goal should be to maintain as much muscle tissue as humanly possible while reducing body fat in the right way. If you overdo cardio and you massively malnourish yourself, you're going to lose weight and you will lose muscle alongside ligament and tendon strength. And primarily those two will go first. And that's when people actually end up, for women, they lose their glutes in a deficit, right? You get a flat bum. Again, for guys, we just end up almost the same body composition, just lighter. So it's a smaller, similar version of where you left off. And if the goal was to get abs and get your abs out, the goal is to, if anything, grow as much muscle tissue as you possibly can while reducing body fat down. And it's that kind of, it is that, do what you need to do in order to be able to drive that result. And you should really only use as much cardio as you need. And again, that's why it's very specific from a coaching standpoint. I have someone like Tracy. Tracy's on very minimal cardio. We're talking, she's got no direct cardio at the moment, apart from like one functional session a week, which is there for her fitness. But that's it. Her fat loss is being driven by weight training and diet. And she is, to the nth degree, peeled, right? So you don't need cardio for fat loss. It is just a tool to be able to drive the calorie deficit further if needed, to be able to stop you from reducing food intake. So I'd always say with like a client, for example, if their weight is plateaued, okay, we got a choice. Either I can increase your cardio or I can reduce your calories. What would you prefer? Well, I would actually prefer to do more cardio because I'm already quite hungry, and I think I'd be hungrier if you were to reduce it even more, and I probably wouldn't adhere to it long term very well. Cool. We'll add some cardio in then. And then that drives past that plateau, right? As opposed to people that are on more of a time constraint. And it's like, well, okay, if hunger isn't a real thing yet, but you can't find the time to hit that cardio, we'll reduce food down and we'll keep cardio the same, right? So it's just using it as a tool if and when it's needed for body compositional purposes.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, the important word there is tool, isn't it? It's not like a cheat code or anything. It literally is a tool. Like with anything, you sort of adjust it depending on how you are and what stage of your transformation you're in. There should never be a point. It's like, for example, if you wanted to get someone in an improvement phase, you would never just instantly put like 2K calories on top of their maintenance. They have to like ease into it. It's the same with cardio. You would never just be like, right, you're doing 2 hours fasted every morning, because again, just burn out. So yeah, transformation, it's used as a tool, definitely. Performance wise, yes, do cardio, but maybe how often would you say to do cardio a week then, if you're doing like performance based, like maximum 3 times a week, maybe?
Yeah, I would say 3 times a week, and you want to try and do it relevant to whatever you're trying to train for, right?
Mm,
So again, it's very dependent on what you're trying to do. If you're doing affects, it should be related to affects. If you're doing,
sure.
let's say, if you're doing cycling, because you've got like a long cycle that you're trying to prep for, right? It should be cycling. It should be relevant to whatever you're doing. And I think
Mm,
for lists, generally, most people are on a treadmill because it's easy, right? And it's just an easy way of keeping your heart rate between 120 to 140. Simple as that. It's just easy. And most gyms have a treadmill, but it can be
mm,
really realistically done on anything if your goal is body composition.
yeah.
But yeah, that moves us on to the next thing: training around an injury, right? Because this is something that we all will encounter. If you feel like you haven't encountered an injury that's going to hold back your training, you will encounter it at some point. You
Yeah.
will come in tired, you will do a movement and it will be wrong, and then you will end up getting hurt. And that is just, it's the reality of it. Okay. We can never be
Mm,
perfect. If you cycle every single day and you've been cycling since you were 7, 8 years old, right? At some point you will fall off your bike, no matter how good of a cyclist you are. Yeah. Just because a little bit of a lapse in judgment, maybe you're tired, maybe you're just a little bit lazy on a turn or something, you will fall off. It's exactly the same with the gym. So it's understanding how to work around it, right? And obviously, Jake, you've hurt your lower back recently when you came back from your holiday. Just doing an
yeah.
RDL, and I hurt my pecs the week prior to that, where I just kind of came in really tired, training at half 4 or 5 in the morning, did a bench press heavy, and just came down in the wrong angle and pulled my pec. I feel like the one thing that we both do that is, I wish people would take up a little bit more is kind of almost go, that sucks, that happened. But that's all right. We don't stop training, we just adapt our training to facilitate what we can do and what we can't do, right?
Mm,
And that's the thing. It's not going to stop you from achieving your goal. And I feel like when people get injured, they're like, oh no, I've got a week out of doing this. That means everything's going to come to a standstill. Absolutely not. 100%
mm,
not. You can still take leaps and bounds forwards. And sometimes your body is actually telling you need to pull back a little bit. So,
yeah.
like, it's saying, look, if you want to get to the next level of your physique progression, if we continue doing it like this, we're going to we're going to plateau, or we're going to
Mm,
continuously get hurt. So actually, pull back a bit, give us a little bit more time to recover, focus on the other stuff that you're doing, and come back to this later.
yeah. Yeah. Is that the worst injury you've had then, a pec? What is the worst injury you've had?
Nah, I fractured my collarbone before doing a deadlift, bro.
Doing a deadlift?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
mental.
I
How does
taught
that
2 hours
happen?
worth of spin classes, bro, and I did a sumo deadlift, and my hands were too close together. And literally, I did the deadlift, and I had about 14 people around me watching me do a 200 kilo sumo or something, because it was an ego thing. 22 and stupid, and everybody heard a pop. It
Nice.
was it was here. If you touch this collarbone, it's got a lump in it, and it's like a reminder for me every day to just
Mm,
check my ego.
yeah. Yeah. Leave the ego at the door. Yeah. That's another thing that I wanted to touch up on as well. Is that when people get injured, they tend to get disheartened. And like you mentioned there, they often have the mindset of like, oh, it's all gone. All the progress has gone. Transformation's out the window. And it's like, if you have that attitude, then yes, it will be gone, because you're not willing to just crack on and do what you can do. Okay, cool. You take a certain area rest for a certain amount of time. Okay, you lose a bit of strength. That's fine. You've built strength to get to that point. You've gotten injured. chill out, rest, recover, get better, and then build that strength back up again. You've proved to yourself that you can already do it, so just do it again. Does it make the process a little bit more jarring? Of course it does, but at the end of the day, you're still going to get to your goal. You've just taken a little back step. That's all. That's literally it.
Yeah, and again, you can use that time to work on the other weaker areas that you have. No one's flawless. Like for me, I had chest surgery because I had gyno, right, from when I was a kid, and I had my gyno removed. So they actually had to open my chest up and actually physically surgically remove the gland underneath my nipple. And I had 4 weeks or 3 weeks where I couldn't actually do any upper body work. Right, all I did was train legs. I did a day
Mm.
on, day off, day on, day off, day off, day on, day off. And as a payoff of that, right? Again, there are science studies that are saying that if you do any kind of weight bearing exercise for any other part of your body, while you can't train another area of your body, the retention in the area, the muscle retention in the area that you can't train is a lot higher because there's still a stimulus for muscle retention. Even if you're training your legs, you'll retain tissue in your chest, right? So for me, I was like, cool, there's already evidence there showing that. Equally, my legs aren't as good as my upper body. I'm just going to spend a bit of time doing this. And by the time I got back to weight training, my upper body was no different, but my legs have come up a little bit. And I was like, oh, it's cool. I've got more of a sweep and my calves are a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. And, that's it's a net positive. So I feel like for most people, if you almost just sit there and just go, right, I cannot train this, that's fine. If my pecs are torn or your lower back is out. For you, Jake, we even said today, you said, my lower back is still niggly. And I said to you, cool, we're just going to get rid of all hip hinge movements for like 1 or 2 weeks. It won't hold you back. We're just going to do isolated movements for your legs. And you went, cool. And then we just cracked on. And there's no
Yeah.
issues there. You can work around anything. And same for my pecs. I was
Mm.
like, cool, I can't do a decline bench press or a flat bench press heavy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the movements I can do that cause me no pain, and I'm going to
Mm.
do 1 or 2 movements. And they're not going to be the main ones that I enjoy, but that's okay. I'll get back to those when my pecs are better. And I'm going to
Mm.
focus on everything else for the time being.
Yeah.
So it's about
Yeah.
just knowing, okay, if you can't train chest, that's fine. You can train your triceps, your biceps, your shoulders, your back, your legs, your quads, your glutes, your hammies. There are lots of other areas of the body. And the beautiful thing about the gym, there's so many machines that will isolate every movement without any kind of involvement from that area that is currently injured.
Yeah.
The amount of people that get elbow pain, and you're like, cool, you could do leg extensions, you could do leg curls, you could do hip thrusts, you could do abduction, you could do adduction, you could do calf raises, you could do biceps, you could do, there's so many things you can do.
Mm.
Don't write it all off.
We have to remember as well is that there is a thing called muscle memory. Okay, you lose muscle in a certain area. The second that you pick up that exercise, back up again when you've recovered from your injury, that muscle is like, oh, we've done this before. We know how to respond to this stimulus and we know how to grow. So it's not like your body's completely forgotten how to respond to, I don't know, say you've hurt your elbow, like Lewis mentioned, and you can't do a bicep curl. You've lost maybe a couple of centimeters on your biceps. And then, 3 weeks later, you're recovered, you're well, you start doing bicep curls again. Is it an instant muscle growth? No, of course it's not. It doesn't grow overnight. But at the same time, your muscle literally has sensors in it that is key for muscle memory, and it will be like, oh, we've done this. We can bounce back from this. We know how to grow on the back end of this. Um, I think we've watched a couple of videos before where we've looked at a similar thing to that as well, where like someone's taken like 3 months off the gym and then they've come back and then they've grown the same amount of muscle, if not more, after I
Yeah,
don't know, like
Kevin
another.
Navroni was prime for that. Yeah, like Kevin Navroni was like one of the best bodybuilders of all time, and he'd take like 6 months off. Dude, right? If I could show you, if anybody gets a bit of a chance, right? Look at Kevin Navroni and type in Kevin Navroni, and then say off season, right? Which is when he wasn't competing. He just looked like a normal dude. He was like really small because he wouldn't even touch a gym. He wouldn't even do anything. He'd just literally do no exercise, and then just one day he'd be like, I'm gonna go and do a bodybuilding show. And
Mm,
because he'd trained so much when he was younger, he'd within the space of like, I don't know, 8 weeks, look like a professional bodybuilder because his muscles have been there before. So they're like, cool, we'll just get back to where we were then. And we're talking like he was one of the top end Olympia competitors. So
he
for
was,
most
yeah,
people, it's
yeah.
just going back to where it was. Like you said, is that your muscles have been there before. It's not like you're pushing to a level where you've never been before, which takes a little bit more like required time and dedication. If you've been there before, it will come back really easy.
Exactly that. Exactly that. Yeah. Kevin Leroney, what an absolute beast, a friendly giant, and yeah,
Pretty good
one of
job.
the one of the guys that should have won the Olympia, in my opinion. Like he was, what was that
Yeah,
one year that he lost to? Did he lose to Dorian Yates? And Dorian Yates had a torn bicep, or he had a
that
torn
wasn't
pec.
Kevin LeBron.
Was that not? He came second to Dorian Yates once, and he shouldn't have.
He came second to Ronnie Coleman once.
Mm. But yeah, top. You know, he was up there. He was one of the best of the best. So absolute fucking weapon, scary looking man.
Yeah, but still a massive impact in the sport, right? Really nice guy, really family
Mm.
driven, and he's always like commentating on stuff. He actually came back in his late 40s, didn't he? And then went and competed again at the Olympia. And then
Yeah,
people were like, "How is he
20,
what?"
2018 was it?
Something like that. Yeah, but he like
Something like
gained
that.
all this
Yeah.
muscle back really quick. People were like, "This guy's a freak of nature, dude." Like honestly, he
Mm.
went from being like dad bod to like open bodybuilder in like 12 weeks, and he was
Yeah.
like,
No.
the only guy that could sit on his YouTube channel and be like, "Hi guys, I've just decided today I'm going to compete in the Olympia. So I'm going to start and I'm going to be on stage in 12 weeks." And then literally he was on stage and looking like an absolute animal. And you're like, how?
It's not fair, man. The world's an unfair place.
Yeah, but he did spend most of his 20s bodybuilding, right? So he'd been there before. So again, muscle
Yeah,
memory is
really.
momentum.
If you ever look into his backstory, really, really sad backstory. But
Mm.
yeah, became an absolute beast in the sport. Absolute
Yeah, man.
beast.
So next question: cutting versus maintenance versus improvement phase. How to actually pick the right phase for where you are. So this is very interesting because I feel like a lot of people have misconceptions about phases that we need to eradicate today. I'm going to keep it very simplistic. When you're cutting, the main primary goal is to reduce body fat, and there is still a sub goal of building muscle. It's not just we're going to lose body fat and not build any muscle. I feel like people kind of think it's that, right? Maintenance is to slowly reduce body fat continuously, but equally match that with the rate of muscle building. So you're here. So imagine like cutting is fat loss here, muscle building here. Maintenance is here and here. So we're doing both at sort of an sequential rate. Does that make sense? And then the improvement phase is to maintain body fat where it's at and overemphasize building muscle, but maintaining body fat, not gaining any body fat, right? So I feel like for me, when people cut, they assume they're going to lose muscle or not build any, which is false. In the maintenance phase, people feel like it just does nothing. No, it does. Definitely does. And in the improvement phase, people feel like they're going to put on body fat. And they're not, because that's not the goal. The goal is to just overemphasize muscle growth. That is simple as it gets. So for me, and I'll pass over to you in a sec, Jake. If someone has quite a lot of body fat on their physique, doesn't matter whether they're 140 pounds, if they've got a lot of body fat on their midriff, we need to reduce that body fat down because the more body fat cells that individual has, if we were to increase calories, those body fat cells would absorb those calories, which means it would take away from nourishment to the muscle tissue, and those body fat cells would just grow, which means that they would end up not looking the way they want to look. So we have to reduce that first. That's why you would go into a cut to reduce body fat cells down. If someone's at maintenance, it means, okay, either we're trying to establish where their maintenance is so we can match that at the start of the phase, match that rate of fat loss to muscle building, and then we can then pull on either side. Or they're actually at a point where, okay, their body composition's good. Maybe they're looking to maintain long term on a good amount of calories and reasonable workout volume. You should be at maintenance. Or we're trying to reestablish on the back of an improvement phase or a cut. And in an improvement phase, well, cool, your body fat percentage is pretty low. We now have no more body fat to remove. We don't need to remove any more body fat, but we could do with actually improving muscle tissue. So if you've got no body fat on your physique, there's no body fat cells that can inflate through having high calorie or controlled calorie surplus. Okay, cool. That controlled calorie surplus will go towards specifically building muscle. So it really depends on your body composition for where you start. I have guys that go straight into an improvement phase because they're off the back of being very lean. Most people end up having to do a cut to begin with because most people, even if they're like skinnier guys, are like, oh, I'm skinny, so I need more muscle. Okay, cool, but you still have body fat. We need to get that off first, and then we'll grow. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Cool. I think the two key points that I would tell anyone that maybe isn't with us for coaching or has a coach themselves, if you're looking to do a cutting phase, you have to make sure that there is still some level of intensity with your training. You are looking to retain muscle tissue and hopefully build more muscle tissue. Okay, in your improvement phase, the main thing that I would focus on is your food quality. Okay, if you go off the rails and you're having everything left, right, and center because you are saying you're in an improvement phase, which is basically a um, in my opinion, a way of saying that you're on a bulk, right? It's basically the equivalent. But if your food quality is really poor, if your food choices are really poor, then yes, you are going to result in putting a load of body fat. Is strength going to go up? Yes. Is muscle tissue going to go up? Probably very slightly, yes. But your body fat is going to be, through the roof, and you're going to be unhealthy. Again, linking back to what we said with the cardio side of things, one thing that people also need to do as well when they're in that improvement phase is do your list, like do your cardio, like look after your health. Think about what's going on the inside just as much as what's going on the outside. Okay, yes, you're getting bigger, but are you becoming more breathless? Are you walking up the stairs and getting absolutely puffed out and being like, oh shit, I cannot breathe? So just make sure your training's appropriate intensity for cutting. Make sure your food quality is good when you're improving. Okay, obviously being on board for coaching makes it a lot easier because we give you the best food choices possible. But yeah, those are my bits of advice for people that might necessarily not have a coach or think about going on board for coaching. Just bear those two things in mind.
Yeah, and the goal for everybody here, no matter what phase you're in, is to continuously get stronger in the gym, right? Not because you're in a cut should you back off lifting heavy.
Mm.
You should have more of an emphasis to lift heavy. Same for maintenance. Oh, well, I'm in maintenance, so I'm just going to maintain my weight. No. Still go for PBs. If you're in the improvement phase, my God, you have no reason not to go for PBs. You literally have an abundant amount of fuel to be able to get PBs. So, yeah, absolutely send it, So, but I would always say, like, the goal should never change with training. The goal should always be to progress in what you're doing, no matter what phase you're in. The only thing that changes is your output and your calories. That's literally it.
Yeah.
So that summarizes everything there. But guys, two little things. If you're in a cut, you are still building muscle. If you're in an improvement phase, we're not trying to get you fat. I feel like a lot of people psychologically feel like they're getting fat just because they're not in that dieting phase anymore. They're like, oh, well, I'm not hungry anymore, so therefore I'm getting body fat. No. Don't work like that. There's no body fat cells left. And if you're, like Jake said, if your food quality is good, and if your calorie surplus is controlled, there is absolutely zero reason for you to gain body fat. I mean, even for you, Jake, you've gone progressively leaner in your improvement phase and you're like 30 pounds heavier. For me, I've gotten leaner in my improvement phase and I am notably heavier. So, it's absolutely zero reason for it. Okay. So don't panic. Now, moving on to the next one, the group PT changes at Tribe. Why and what to expect? Lots of changes this week, brother. Lots of changes this week has gone on. We've got job roles and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Group
very
PT
exciting.
wise, talking about like actual impact to the members. Group PT wise, we're actually looking to bring back the community vibe a little bit. We had like a staff meeting on Monday. We sat down. We were like, actually, like what was the most community driven thing that we've ever done? And before you started, Jake, we used to run, like, me and Maddie, when Jamie was here as a member before he became a coach. We used to have a whiteboard and the members would come in and we didn't have options of what to work out or what to train on the day, which that is still going to be there. Don't get me wrong, people still have the option to do what they need to train, but we would mold the sessions because it's on a whiteboard. We could mold it for the individuals on the sessions, right? So we're like, oh, this person needs to work a little bit on this. We'll add a little bit of that in. And this person needs to work on this. We'll add a little bit of that in. And we'll partner these two people together to be able to do this. So bringing the whiteboard back and having a little bit more control over the session, depending on the people on the group PT, is pretty sweet, And Jamie was the one that sort of, sat down with me in here and he was like, let's just get a whiteboard back out. And I was like, yeah, it's a great idea. Even for me, I like leaving, like coming in the morning. If I was doing a morning session, I couldn't see people in the evening. I'd like doodle on it, being like, "Have an awesome session, evening crew," with like a little like my face with a little peace sign, and just sign off. And Maddie would do the same. And it's just like nice to be able to have that input, right? It shows a lot of attention and care. So and obviously that was always there, but because we got so, I would say, like, ah, so I don't even know technical is the right word with everything that we did. It kind of limited our input based off of technology, you know?
Yeah, I think it's because we had so I think we had quite a few of the members that were obviously on board with us for coaching, and um, they would turn up to the session, as they, can do in their right. They have every single right to come to the sessions. That's what we want them to do, if anything, so they get a bit more one-to-one time with the coach. But obviously, their workouts are different because we've got, I don't know, let's say we've got 20 people on a coach, 10 of which doing coaching with either myself or you or Maddie or Jamie. And you've got the same people doing the class. So it was kind of a bit staggered. Whereas now, and I literally said to Jamie today, actually, I came upstairs and I was like, bro, it actually looks better on the board. It looks more professional, but also like a bit more old school at the same time. Like it's a weird mix. Yeah, like you said, it's a really good personal touch, and it just gets everyone together at the start of the session. And the vibes are up from the get go. There's no sort of like, oh, so and so hasn't spoken to so and so. Like everyone is together, and it's yeah, it's good. It's a good vibe. It is a really good vibe, really good community. It's brilliant, man. It's pumping.
Yeah. And for any of you guys that are doing coaching, jump on the group PTs anyway, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
part of what I want the coaches to do, and part of what, like, me and Jamie were speaking about, was even if you're on a coaching program, right? Why not just come upstairs and have a coach advise you on like a good warm up, or have a little bit of input of like, by the way, guys, I've seen a lot of you are doing flies today. I've seen a lot of flies being done wrong in my time. We're just going to revisit those flies for the first 5 minutes to make sure you know what you're going for and what you're looking for. And then when we get to that exercise, boom, we'll be able to smash it and get the most out of it. Jen, you change with the times, and sometimes you reflect on what worked and why. No harm in looking back. Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
Completely
definitely, Jen.
agree. And it's weird. It's super weird, man, because like ultimately as well, like over time, all we've actually strived to do is improve it. We've never looked to take away from it, but sometimes you try and, it sounds really bad, but like you try and perfect on something that works. Like you're
Mm,
taking something that's not broken and you're applying tools to it. It's not broken in the first place.
yeah.
And I think we just kind of got caught up in the mix of consistently making improvements, and we just got more and more scientific to the point where people
Mm,
had absolutely no idea because the options were just too many and there was too much choice, and then all of a sudden we've overwhelmed people. So making it a little
yeah.
bit more streamlined is definitely good.
I feel like a lot of people definitely just want to go to the gym, be told what to do it, and then go home. And have a good time whilst they do it.
Yeah,
Like it
man.
is as simple as that. It is as simple as
Yeah.
that for some people.
And I think as
So
well,
yeah.
having good management from the coaches means that if people are turning up and maybe they just want to work out, whatever, it's on us to be able to make sure that we keep them in line with making progress, not them. And I feel like for us, we were like, because we train and we like having control over what we do, right? That's how we train. It's like we're obsessed by it. Whereas some people don't have that level of obsession that we do, and nor would they want to. They just want to come to the gym. They want to make steady progress. They don't want to know about the ins and outs of the science and stuff. That's why they're here, because they want us to do it for them, which is
Mm,
fine. It's the same as if you go to the doctors. You don't go to the doctors and you're like, I've done about four weeks worth of anatomy and physiology training, and I know that this problem is this. And you're like, I've got this problem. I would like it to be solved in the next 10 minutes. So, like for us, it just means that if people turn up and they're like, "Listen, man, I don't need the science ins and out. I just need to make steady progress," and it's on us to then advise them what to do, what weights to lift, and how to be able to do that. So, in reality, we just need to take more control and have a little bit more, like we said, streamline it a little bit more. And just if people need to be specific, well, okay, cool. We be more specific, and we just say, "Hey, by the way, you need to be doing this exercise." And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'll
mm,
go do that exercise."
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool, man. And obviously giving Jamie and you and Maddie more responsibility as well is sick, because you've been like remotivated and re-engaged. Jamie is like on it, isn't he? Like he's like a fucking man on a mission. Like I came in the following morning and like all of the equipment was fixed. He was like, I am on the ball. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ. you know.
Giving them
And
that
Maddie's like,
jacked band workout, pre-workout.
yeah,
That's what you've given them.
yeah. And Maddie's on like the social events, and she loves like the female side of things. They're doing like a cowboy spin session this Sunday. So yeah, it's fucking vibes, bro. Like it's really cool.
Yeah, it's good, man. At the end of the day, what we had, built an amazing community. Why not? we can make that even better, and it's giving people the best possible workouts, and also just like a escape in their lives, man. Like just a positive place to go where they can train and be around people that they've, become training partners and friends and stuff, and just, let it thrive. So yeah, doing very well, doing very, very well. It's very positive. It's very, very positive.
Yeah, and if any of you guys are regular, like Jen, for you as well, because you're in here, if you see any things that you kind of like the look of, or if you have any kind of ideas with how we could improve it, even if that means making it more simple, like just going like, actually, all this information you guys are giving us, straight over me head. Like, let us know about it, because we're always looking to make things that little bit better. And sometimes for us, there's a specific name for it. It's like brain rot or brain blurb or whatever, where like you have so much information in your brain about something, you try and share it, and actually when you try and share it, it's so much info that people actually don't need, that
Mm,
it has a direct effect of why you're sharing that information. You're like, they'll love it, and actually you're just putting them off it. So for
yeah.
us, because we live, eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff, it's like sometimes we overshare. We don't need to be sharing that much, so let us know.
Mm, yeah.
That moves on to the next one. PEDs in 2026, an honest conversation, no glorification, no demonizing what they are and what they do. I feel like this is a pretty taboo subject that probably needs to be spoken about a little bit more. And I said to Jake before we came on here that I don't want to glamorize these things, because that is not the goal of this. Even if this is something that doesn't interest you, it's good to know. It's good to know, because if you're ever in conversation with someone and you hear something that doesn't sound right, if you know it doesn't sound right, you could advise them on like just giving them a bit of information, going, "Hey, you should probably research that, because that's not the way you should be doing things, and this could lead to long-term health defects. There is a right way and a wrong way to do things, and I feel like this is wrong." Right? So it's just informing people so that they can not give specific advice, but at least know what to look out for. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So when it comes to this side of things, performance enhancing drugs are basically things that it's pretty self-explanatory, enhance your performance.
Do they?
Um, yeah. Generally, they're all rooted in some kind of derivative of testosterone. Um, I feel like with PEDs in 2026, especially, there's a lot of glamorizing on TikTok and Instagram of these things.
Loads. Hell yeah.
And whilst I'm not going to deny there are massive positives, they will definitely help, but they will be a multiplier on both sides, right? So the best analogy I was ever told is, if you're making the right choices, it will two or three times the the benefits. If you're making the wrong choices, it will two or three times the wrong choices. It's a multiplier on both sides of the spectrum. So when you start using these things, you open yourself up to side effects. And there are very few people, even the people that feel like they're on it enough to be able to advocate the use of these things, that probably aren't as on it as they actually need to be able to use these things. Like for me, I use them, but I track my blood pressure almost daily. I do my blood glucose. I am like living in the gym, and I don't go out drinking ever, pretty much. And there are so many things that most people do and treat as normal that I do not choose to do. So for someone like me, mitigating the risk every fucking possible way I possibly can, whereas most people can't do that. What's your view on that, Jake?
Yeah, I 100% agree, mate. It does infuriate me that there are some things out there that can benefit us that are deemed, um, obviously illegal, etc. And then, you get alcohol, which has been abused for, over 100 years. You get, you know, a certain medication that has been abused for many, many years. And it, it just comes down to education, really. It just comes down to education. Like in school, you're taught about how alcohol affects you, you're taught about how drugs affect you, but you're never taught about how PEDs affect you. And I know that's very specific to the industry that we work in, but if people are educated, then it's, and they take that information on board and they acknowledge that information and they have been taught the correct things, then at the end of the day, it's down to them as to what they do. Everyone knows the effects of alcohol, but some people still choose to ignore them. That's down to them. Not a lot of people know the effects of PEDs, and they abuse them, but it's because they haven't got the knowledge there, or they haven't been taught. And that's one thing that does infuriate me. And we've had a conversation about this before, but if people were just educated, then they would have the ability to make smarter decisions. We know how alcohol affects us. That's why we rarely drink. Okay, we know what drugs can do to us if we misuse them and abuse them. That's why we don't misuse it and abuse drugs. It's a simple concept which hasn't been addressed. And the people that do address them and the people that do relay their experiences and then say, like, oh, do this and try not to do this, are slandered, because it's like, oh, well, use PEDs, you're just you have roid rage, or and it gets a bit out of control. So unfortunately there are resources, but there's no sort of clear resource to say, like, look, this is what it does, this is the effect, this is how you can go about it. And that's what frustrates me about the fitness industry.
Yeah. So I think I completely agree on that one. So to give you guys a little bit more of an insight as to what it actually is. So say, for example, for men and women, if you're using PEDs, right? So let's say, for example, the primary driver for both men and women is generally a derivative of testosterone. For women, it's generally a very low amount of testosterone, which is why the level of muscle growth between men and women from the same program, the guy will always grow a lot more muscle tissue than the female will. Um, so when we're going to use guys first as a reference, because women are a little bit different and how to approach things, but for guys, right, if we produce, and I'm going to use the analogy of, let's say, for example, if your balls were to excrete a specific milligram amount of testosterone per week, which could be anywhere between the equivalent of 80 milligrams to 125 milligrams of testosterone a week. Some people up to 150. It depends on the individual. Yeah, it depends if someone's got really high testosterone naturally. So 80 to 150 milligrams is what a guy naturally would produce. And again, the outcome of that, there are some incredibly good natural physiques out there on that specifically, by just dialing training, dialing nutrition. I would always say to anybody, if you want to get in great shape for a holiday or to go, and do a photo shoot, you don't need to be on PEDs to be able to do that. You can do that without it. Now, the goal with anabolics is to be able to increase that level of total hormone in the body to be able to allow you to put on muscle that your body probably wouldn't be able to, so that more of that testosterone can bind to the androgen receptor. So for a lot of guys, and you hear it all the time in commercial gyms, I'm going to take test at 500 milligrams a week, and I'm going to take tren at 300 milligrams a week. And you're like, so what you've done is if you know that there are some incredibly good natural physiques, some incredible physiques, by having 80 to 150 milligrams. You've not chosen to go up to 250 milligrams of just testosterone. So you get almost 2 times the amount of progress they would get. You've chosen to 4 or 5 times it off the get go. Like, why? What's the point? Like, why do you need 4 or 5 times that? Because again, the more you times it, the more side effects become prevalent as well. And that's why it's always good, a bit like the recommendation we said last week, which was the minimal effective dose to get the outcome that you want. And what we're really looking for here is about 2 pounds of muscle gain per week, right? If you're on anabolics, or even less in some cases, 1.5. And if you can do that on very minimal amount of drug use, then stay on that until that doesn't happen anymore, and then bring it up slowly by 50 milligrams, right? Not 500, and definitely not tren, which was never really meant. It was studied in human beings for a period of time, but it was never meant for human beings. It was meant for cattle. So, like, at the end of the day, it needs to be something that gradually titrates over time. It should never be like this one dose will work for everybody, because again, for me, I naturally have high estrogen, right? That's just how my body functions. It's not a bad thing. I actually can deal with that really well. However, that does put me at risk of high estrogen side effects. If my testosterone goes too high, my estrogen will travel up with that. So if my test goes too high and my estrogen goes too high, I start to run into all the side effects that would entail, which means gynecomastia. Luckily, I've had mine removed, but I had that naturally as a kid. So obviously, if I'm on PEDs, that's going to be there if I didn't have it removed. Potential for hormonal fluctuations and estrogen being high means that my skin quality wouldn't be great. I would have acne, right? Those things everywhere. And it's like, okay, well, I can't risk that. So for me, it needs to start low. And some people are even more receptive to those things than I am. And you see it all the time. You know, you see that kid in the gym that's made great progress. He's seen a TikTok video. He's deciding to take 500 milligrams of test, and all of a sudden he's got breast tissue and he's got acne everywhere. And you're like, okay, all of those defects actually don't mitigate the positives don't mitigate the negatives here. You know, like, yeah, you've gained 4 pounds of muscle tissue you probably could have gained naturally, but now you got spots everywhere and your hairline's receding and your gyno's there. So, and 9 times out of 10, when you speak to these kids, you're like, would you have chosen not to do it? Yeah, probably. Now the gyno's there, bro. Now the hairline is receding, and now the skin quality and the acne is there. That's is something you got to deal with now, and that's going to be there potentially long term. So, so for anybody, right, if you hear anybody having a conversation about it and they've just gone, I'm going to take this, this, and this, just say, like, have you really researched it? Do you need that much? Yeah. Do you actually need that much for what you're trying to do? And then it comes down to why are they using it? Like, if you just want to get fucking beach ready, do you need it? Probably not. If you want to be a bodybuilder, probably, because you're going to levels of muscle tissue that most people can't naturally hold on to. So, yeah, it kind of comes with the industry at a certain level. But again, there are some incredible natural bodybuilders out there, though. You know, we've had this conversation before, Jake, where you sat in the car and you were like, do I need it for bodybuilding? And I said, no, you don't, not for natural bodybuilding. However, if we had the conversation where you're like, I want to be on the Olympia stage, I'd be like, yeah, you probably would, like, because they're all on it at that point. And that's a physique that, you know, is so incredible that people stop and tune in and will pay to tune in to that show because it's freaky. Yeah, it's freaky. It's like a human body shouldn't look like that. That's why strongman is so popular online, right? It's because no one would tune in to strongman if it was just normal guys lifting weights that you'd see in the gym every day. Because you're like, well, that's just stuff I could go to Snap Fitness and see, right? But what they want to see is they want to see big lads lift weights that you could just dream of deadlifting once, but they want to see a guy press it over their head 10 times. And they're like, oh my God. Which is why Giants Live a while ago said, we aren't going to ban PEDs because this is meant to be freaky. And it's the only way we can keep retention from our viewers. So yeah, anyway, hopefully that kind of informs you guys a little bit more about it.
The one thing I do have an issue with as well is, and I've spoken to my mum multiple times about the use of PEDs, where I've always joked to her, being like, "Oh, I'm going to go on testosterone just to wind her up because I'm like that, you know, I'm an asshole."
I play with fire like that,
and I remember her, you know, my mum and my brother turn around to me and be like, "Oh, isn't it cheating though?" It's like, no, for bodybuilding, it's like the nature of the sport, you know. It's good nowadays because it does differentiate from the natural guys to the obviously not natural guys, and the ones that compete that aren't natural in the natural category do get found out and they do get, you know, kicked out and banned. So it is just the nature of the sport. Just like in football, you know, you've got to score 20 goals to be wanted by a bigger team that are going to pay like 20 million for you, you know. I'm not just going to go there because I play football. You know, that's not how it works. It's just, yeah, it's the nature of things. And like you mentioned, that is a massive part of it, is that people want to see freaky shit, you know?
Yeah, but again, like you said, PEDs aren't cheating because ultimately these guys are pretty much, if you were to take PEDs from them, they'd look good anyway. But how many people do we know that we've met through this industry that are on literally everything but the kitchen sink and look awful because their diet and their training is absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
Like
loads.
they look like terrible, bro. Like awful. They're like, you know, carrying so much body fat and not much muscle at all. And their hairline's receding and all that sort of stuff. There's a right way and a wrong way to do these things, right? But like you said, it's very similar to cardio. It's a tool. It's a tool to use to, like, you know, if you've been a natural bodybuilder, for me, I've been dude, I've been bodybuilding for 12 years. Yeah. So naturally for me to gain 1.5 pounds of muscle tissue at this point is quite extreme, So ultimately I use what I need to be able to facilitate that. But again, and I get my blood work done every like 12 weeks, bro. Like there aren't many people that do that. So I can keep a track of everything and pull back if I start to see a result that I'm not happy with, or if my coach
Yeah,
is not happy with.
yeah. One
Which,
key thing as well, isn't it? Is blood work. That's key.
mate,
If you're gonna
honestly,
make the
if you
decision,
yeah, and I'm
you
not
know,
I'm not gonna like not glamorize these things to a degree because again, the freaky physique stuff, yeah, absolutely is facilitated by PEDs. I'm not gonna bullshit you guys. I feel like if I just sat here and slagged it all off the whole time, people would be like, oh well, he's just saying that. Of course, there are benefits to it, but there are also massive negatives. Yeah, there are huge pros and cons to everything. It's like alcohol, right? Alcohol is, in my opinion, far worse than PEDs, but like Jake said, glamorized massively in media, so we don't frown upon it. Having a drink on a weekend is cool. But you can have a couple of drinks with your mates to have the best night ever. You can have a great fucking night. It loosens off a bit of that anxiety. You get on the dance floor, you're vibing, and you kind of remember the whole night. You wake up the next day, you're not hungover. Sure, you've got a bit of like a rough stomach, and it's not the best thing for your health. But you had a fantastic night. Or you go out and you overdo it, and you end up in hospital, and you get your stomach pumped, and you could die. Alcohol poisoning is a thing. Kidney failure is a thing. So
addiction
it's
is the
like,
thing.
pardon?
Mm. Addiction as well,
Yeah, addiction is a
massively.
thing, bro. And the one thing that I would say that PDs do not have with them, they have a psychological addiction. People like to progress, definitely, but you're never. If you wanted to come off them, you could come off them. Yeah, like there's no biofeedback in terms of like with alcohol. You do find you get like that twitch. Some people with like alcohol withdrawal symptoms start to really shake. With PEDs, you just go back to like normal hormone levels. If you PCT correctly, or you go onto TRT or whatever, you're pretty much good to go. It's more of the psychological aspect of taking steps backwards. I feel like people really struggle with.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. But yeah, correct usage, like you said, Lewis, similar to cardio, is a brilliant tool. Again, if you were to take that to the next level, and just yeah, like I said at the start, just education, just educate yourself. If you don't know something, ask someone with experience. If you feel like you're constantly in an environment where they're like pushy towards it, then you need to get the fuck out of there and take a step back and be like, look, is this a decision I'm making, or is it a decision I'm being told to make? Again, like you mentioned, social media is an amazing tool that we use, especially nowadays, can also be the downfall of some people's health, progress, how they also view the industry as well. Like we work in my opinion, the best industry in the world. Okay, that's in my opinion. Unfortunately, there are elements to it which are abused by certain people that make it put a down light on it. So surround yourself with informative people who have had an experience with that can relay and be truthful. Don't be sort of egged on by social media as well. Fucking hell, I got cut in that. I got stuck in that trap as well of like,
Yeah,
seeing
man.
guys my age and younger who are jacked and being like, I need to be on it, and it's like, no, you need to do what is best for you. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, kind of like anything, really.
And one last thing as well for women, right? You are opening up a can of worms, bro. Like you, don't get me wrong, you should be on it for as men, 100%. Women, you need to double the fuck down if you're going to go down that route. Yeah, you need someone that knows what they're doing, big time. Because for guys, and again, you see it all the time, bro. I literally spoke to you about it, didn't I? There was a lady who I knew of who was connected to one of our clients who was advised to take stuff, and I was like to my client to relay over to the lady, tell her to stop, like tell her to stop now. For ladies, you will start to become very masculine. Yeah, if you take too much testosterone. So like for a guy, I mentioned at the beginning 200 to 250 milligrams of testosterone is considered a low and safe cycle, but it is still a cycle, right? For women, right, we're talking like, again, we'll use Anavar as a reference. Guys, for Anavar, pretty moderate. Its usage is, again, it's a DHT, so a dihydrotestosterone derivative. they would use into a contest prep anywhere between sort of 40 to 100 milligrams, of Anavar, and be pretty sound, to be honest. That's still considered like
I
very
think
safe.
I was on like 20 actually leading up to my show. I think I was on 20.
But you, for women, like you will start to masculinize at 5 milligrams, sometimes even 2.5 milligrams for some people. So, like, you are talking a tenth of what guys use. Yeah. So, if you know a woman that's considering it, okay, and you know they're around a bad crowd and you know they may have been advised in the wrong way, I'm not fucking joking. If you are a female and you are thinking about it, pay for some solid advice from a coach who has had work with females before. Speak to some of their clients. How safe was he? Was he very good at getting me to do my blood, getting you to do your blood work? Was he very informative? Like, you need to know, like, because as soon as that starts to happen, your jawline starts to become broader, your voice starts to become deeper. There's a point of no return there. Yeah, like for us guys, if we get acne, we can come off of it. We can solve our skin issues. For you, if that starts to happen, there is no way back. Yeah, you are now a different different woman off the back of it, becoming a man. So don't fuck about with it. Talk to someone that knows what the fuck they're talking about. Yeah, and I'm not this. I sound really like aggy with this, but genuinely, from seeing some of the horror stories, you need to work with someone that knows what they're talking about. Yeah, and for me, any women that I work with in the past, so if they have gone down that route, it is so apprehensive. Yeah, it's like I would actually be there, like, look, like for some of them, I'm like, I need you to message me on a daily basis with a voice note because I'm going to track your voice tone. I'm going to make sure that we're not getting deeper. I'm going to compare your voice note from me. Hey, Lewis, how are you? 3 weeks ago when we weren't on it, and then 3 weeks now. Like, and if there's any kind of drop, we're pulling that shit straight away. Yeah, and you're gonna do your bloods regularly. Like, these are all things you just don't mess about with. Yeah, you need to have someone that is on it and can give you that time, not just take this and be gone. All right. So, anyway, it's enough on that subject. Guys, are there any questions that you have? If you want to put some questions out to the team, you're more than welcome. Happy to answer them. I'm aware that I've got Chris downstairs waiting to do posing.
As you tuned into the podcast, if not, there's no excuse. Oh god,
You're gonna message him
very
now.
exciting actually. Coming up is him and Tracy's show. Absolute. If you guys want to see an absolute power couple, then go to the PCA.
Oh, lost you there.
Oh, what happened there?
Don't know, bro. Don't know.
There we are. I'm here. Yeah, if you guys want to see an absolute power couple, Tracy and Chris are on it, on
Yeah,
the
man.
money.
Yeah, man.
So yeah. But yeah, like Lewis said, guys, if you have any questions at all, then please pop them in. Whether it's
Dude,
anything related to the topic that we've spoken about or something different.
see this? Harry's just uploaded this.
Mm.
Yeah, so this is his first check-in. It's his current check-in. It's good, isn't it?
Mental. Very cool.
Love that. Love
Very
that.
cool.
Love that.
We'll give it a couple of minutes, see if anyone's got any questions. If not, then we will
Yeah, man.
be back Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I cannot wait until the competitive season starts again.
Yeah, it'll be good, bro.
I mean, it's already started, but with people in the gym, you know, go to some shows.
Yes, sir.
See some absolute freakazoids.
Bro, I get so nervous at these shows, dude. Honestly.
Yeah, I know. I've seen you.
Bruh, honestly, I get like low key, like part of this year, I spoke to Callum about it, and he was like, look, man, in a year's time, the rate that you're going, you're going to have a serious conversation with yourself as to whether or not you want to continue to compete or you just take your clients off to compete. And I was like, I know I'm going to make the decision that I want to take my clients off to compete because I get more fulfillment out of that. I just like leading from the front, and I still feel like I could get a little bit more out of my body right now.
Yeah.
And as soon as that's done, I'm like, cool, I'm just going to bodybuild for fun. but then everything's going to be on them. But legitimately, bro, the emotional ups and downs of of the stress of taking people off the shows is so exhausting. I always like, I'll go with Maddie and like, Maddie, you need to drive back because I'm going to have the fattest adrenaline dump you've ever seen in your life, and I'm just going to pass out in the passenger seat.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
love
that's the
driving us to bodybuilding shows. The drive back is very quiet.
dude, I just get so pumped for it, dude. I just want to see people have fun.
Oh
Like
yeah.
for me,
Oh yeah.
I feel like I have, and this is my personal view, I feel like I have a very good relationship with bodybuilding, bro, because for me, like personally, single time I go and compete myself, I'm like, I'm not really bothered about taking first, to be honest. I'm more bothered about just being a better version than I was last time. And just getting up there, bro. Like I remember when I first started, it was like my dream to just have abs. So to
Mm,
be able to have abs and to the nth degree, to be on a bodybuilding stage and be like so jacked during like a 0.000000001% of the population to look like that is
yeah.
already like like an achievement, And I
Mm,
try and remind the people that compete up there, it's like, look, man, if Ronnie Coleman turns up on the day, like you ain't gonna get first. That's that's fine. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world. That doesn't mean you can't beat him future down the line. It's a case of just go away, work on it, and come back. But about 2 years ago, you just looked like a normal dude. You are now on stage with Ronnie Coleman, giving him a fight for his money. And like, this is someone that you would have looked at 2 years ago and be like, there's no way I can get that. Now you're giving him a run for his money. So, like, come on, like, enjoy it, have a bit of fun, like,
yeah.
just be appreciative of the process and how hard he works and the outcome of your body, bro. Sometimes where people kind of miss out, I think, a little bit is like they can't
Mm,
appreciate because they're so busy comparing themselves to other people that might be that nth degree better because they've done it for a little bit longer. They don't
yeah.
appreciate that actually they are looking like a guy would look at most men's physique competitors and be like, oh, that's my dream. Even dead last place, like the last place men's physique competitor, depending on the show you go to, most most guys would look at that and be like, that is goals, bro. Like me in the off season, I'd go to America with Maddie and be in the pool. And there was a guy last year that came up to me. He was like, mate, how do you look like that? I just want to look like that. And I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm not in great shape right now. Like I've just been hammering theme park food, but you sometimes just got to take a step back and appreciate the bigger picture.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's like having it's like going to football when I was a kid, and you'd have the one dad that's really angry because their son isn't winning, and then you'd have the other dad that's just happy to be there,
Yeah,
just
man.
wants to see his kid do well. That's what it's like having you
Bro,
as a coach. It's brilliant.
it's just fun, isn't it? Yeah, like like for you, yeah, like when when you were shredded, I was like, wham! Like I didn't care, bro. I was just like, when you walked out. Admittedly, I was pissed off when you walked out looking depressed. But like dude, when you were posing and you were like in it, I was like, bro, this is so sick because you were a guy
It's
that like
vibes.
turned up. You had like headphones on, would never speak to anybody, and like could struggle to put on any muscle. To the point
Yeah.
you're now on stage in board shorts being compared against like 20 other lads in front of
Mm,
about 600 people and rocking it. And I was like, look at that. That's fucking
vibes.
awesome, bro. Like it's so
Yeah.
sick. And like as much as we don't like talking about him, like Craig when he went off to do strongman. Um and like I remember getting a photo of him and Gaz at the time, and they were holding Craig's trophy and seeing the smile in his face, bro. It was just a smile. It was like him being happy because he'd finally done something that he really thought he couldn't do. And I was like, this is like proud dad vibes. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't
Mm,
even care if he had third or fourth or 20th, as long as it's that smile at the end of like, I'm like, cool, man. You just had a great time. Like, you just
yeah.
loved it. And that's
Yeah.
vibes,
That's the
So,
joys of it. It's like with anything really though, isn't it? As long as you just go there and enjoy yourself, that's all that matters.
yeah, bro,
You know?
100%. 100%. Right,
So
guys,
yeah.
we're gonna round up there. Have a have a lovely rest of your week, guys. Hopefully you took some information from today, and I know it wasn't as streamlined as last week, but guys, get some input in on these podcasts. Yeah, like we're always happy to answer your questions, like anything. Even we were even saying before this, talking about subjects like GLP-1s, PEDs. You don't have to align with us. Like, it's our own view on the situation from our own experience. If you have like a controversial view on something, or you wanted to like just talk about your opinion on it, you're like, actually, no, I don't agree with that. Share it. Like we're never gonna like kick off about it. We're not gonna, lose our lid. It's always nice to know like what you guys think, and it's nice to know the opposing view on it, because sometimes when we're in our own little bubble, we have our own view on something, and maybe that's our own view, and maybe you could share something that changes our view, and vice versa. So happy to take all input, yeah. As long as you
Yeah,
don't mention my calves. As soon as you mention my calves and you say they're small, you're wrong.
podcast ended.
You're wrong. You're wrong, okay? You're so wrong. They're big, okay? They're big. Fuck.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Make sure future podcast, you're getting involved and getting your input. Obviously, we will return on Monday morning,
Yeah,
8
man.
p.m. sharp, or 8:15 actually.
Quarter
There'll
past.
be an announcement for that. But yeah, have an awesome rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you Monday.
We will see you Monday. Have a lovely,
Oh
lovely
yeah.
rest of your week, guys.